Hello, welcome to another edition of Fourth Down Magazine's Fourth and Goal. I'm Jake Adams, as always, with Andy Shea. We've got another round of topics to talk about this week with the district and state playoffs just a few weeks away from being over. Districts is this week we end here. We got a bunch to talk about today. We got a little bit that I want to break away from our normal postseason conversation here. We had some news last week. Eric Epler, I'm diving right in. We just rushed this intro this week.
That's okay.
We got
Let's go.
We got some news this week, or a couple days ago here. Eric Epler over at Penn Live broke the news that the conference, Mid-Penn Conference, is realigning for football for the next 2 years. All the realignment stuff happens in 2-year cycles. For those of you that don't know, what it means now is instead of 5 divisions in which we had the new look Liberty a couple years ago be added, and it was mostly the old TVL teams. Now we have 4 divisions again, 2 10-team divisions and 2 9-team divisions. Among the most notable changes, at least to me, was Bishop McDevitt and Cedar Cliff are now joining what I'm going to call the Super Commonwealth, because I don't know a better terminology for that.
I like that name.
Creating a fever dream of big school football. I've been wondering why McDevitt hasn't been in the Commonwealth since I started covering things in 2013. Now
Correct.
we finally have it. The Keystone will get a big facelift with Gettysburg and Mechanicsburg back again. Northern, Shippensburg, Waynesboro joining, which creates a brand new Colonial as well with Milton Hershey in the mix. Haven't seen that one, at least to my memory. And now we have Camp Hill and Steel High, which is basically the old Tri-Valley / old Liberty division. That's going to be an interesting mix there, I think, in which, personally, I think Steel High just looks like the runaway favorite most years. Andy, first off, do you have a favorite division of those 4? And how are you doing this week? I kind of ran through that.
That's okay. Doing great, Jake. I want to give you a little history lesson about McDevitt real quick, and then I will get to the new one. Back before the power ratings, right? Before the District 3 took over and had perfected the power ratings and it expanded the playoffs, McDevitt was actually a 2A school. So teams that were 4A in the big school division, whether it was the Commonwealth or Mid-Penn one, they were actually hurt by playing McDevitt because McDevitt was a 2A school. So
Yeah.
before they got the power rating squared away, having McDevitt in the division was killing them. Even though competition-wise, it fit perfectly. So let's go. So for the new look, which I've looked at it all, and I like the name Supercom. I like the Colonial Division. Big Spring, Boiling Springs, East Penn, Greencastle, Middletown, Milton Hershey, Hannah Tribe, Trinity, and West Perry. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of potato, a little bit of potato. I really like that division and the way it's made up because there's a lot of possibilities. And that's my favorite.
I think that's going to live up even more than past years, at least on paper, to your crazy Colonial moniker, because you've got some of those teams that have bounced back and forth between the old it's current / going to be old Capital and old Common or Colonial. Hannah's been kind of a recent Colonial edition, and Milton Hershey is the one, at least for me, since I know this scene, is a little bit of that wild card in there. What can they do with this mix? But man, you could see a Shippensburg when it gets, or sorry, not a Shippensburg. You can see a Big Spring win this division. You can see Trinity and West Perry, which have been really good the last 2 years, win this. East Pennsboro win this. Roll the dice. What are you going to get?
I like it. It's the way the enrollment shook out, but competition, because that's what they're going by right now. They're pretty much, and they need to. It's the right decision. It's 100% the only way to do it. It's the right way to do it. They did it properly, but this one shook out great.
I think one thing, we don't have time to talk about this today, but I think this is the interesting ramifications of the PIAA's new classification, or it's not really new anymore. They put it on this one, I think 2 years ago. The new classification, adjustments that can happen if you're a powerhouse like a McDevitt or a Steel High.
The competition clause.
So now we get this McDevitt situation.
McDevitt is getting competition claused, but
yes,
I would say McDevitt falls under the category of my only winner from this. Who's the winners and losers in this?
Okay.
And I would put everyone who's going to be in the Keystone, or everyone that had been in the Keystone while McDevitt was there, because really the division returns to competitive, right? Mm-hmm. That's the only thing. It's the wonky division. It's the I don't even know what the heck's going on division, and it's kind of weird to me. So that one's going to take a little bit to shake out and get used to. But the fact that McDevitt's not there and they now are playing in the Commonwealth, which they don't give two you know what's about. They don't care one bit. They'll be like, yeah, we'll play them. They don't
Yeah.
care, and I understand why. They don't, they would prefer that actually. But I'm saying the winner is all those things. On the other side, there's some losers. There definitely is. It's I think Cedar Cliff, I think that's just a tough road in that division for them. That's just a
Yeah.
big, that's a big jump for me. That one is not that they're not capable of being competitive, but are they going to look more like Carlisle and Altoona and Chambersburg rather
Yeah.
than a 5A team that is, playoff worthy? I mean, let's face it. I think if they play any one of the other two teams, they're probably in the district final, but they're going to have to play some 6A competition. They're going to need to get better. I don't think this team this year would have had problems competing in the Commonwealth, but they certainly wouldn't have been 9-1, right? We
Yeah.
know that for sure. So I think Steel High and Camp Hill, I think they lose as well. I think they lose a sort
Yeah.
of week to week competitive fire in the Capital Division as it was. They've got all those other small schools, and they should be there with them. But I don't know, Line Mountain, Upper Dauphin, Susquehanna, Newport.
And not to
It's
mention
just,
too the travel that they're going to have to go through now too, which is
it's
this
just
is
not a
what
fair
happened.
fight. It's not a fair
Yeah.
fight. And it's not, I think the losers are the other teams that were in the old Liberty division. They now have
Yeah.
to play, it sort of feels like it could be McDevitt. Camp Hill and Steel High could possibly, probably, maybe take turns tag teaming or either playing each other and being the king of the hill 1 and 1A, and everybody else is playing for third.
Yeah. I think I want to go back to the Commonwealth too for a second. When I first saw the realignment get announced, my immediate thought was, where do Altoona and Carlisle get wins most? You're good to see them like steal a win in the Commonwealth usually one year to the next, but like those are teams that banked on winning non-conference games to give themselves, especially in Carlisle's situation with how big District 3 is on the 6A side.
Correct.
Carlisle's needed those wins in the early portion of the season. If they lost to Mechanicsburg early on or something like that, it could doom their postseason chances. Now, with having 9 Commonwealth games and only 1 non-conference game, which I'm going to guess is going to be Mechanicsburg still, man, how are they like a 3-win season is going to be a good season with the way that Carlisle's currently constituted against this
As they're
division.
constituted right now, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to put a lot of pressure on those schools. I mean, it's the way that the Commonwealth is going to be a big one. So yeah, there's a lot to learn from this, but they still did it right. We can say that bottom line.
Yeah, I texted Seth after Seth Bohannick, who was in charge of the committee that
Yep.
oversaw realignment. I was just like, man, this is some mad scientist kind of stuff right here. But it's really
they had to
interesting.
do it this way. Yeah.
I got 2 more questions here. We've gone off
Sure.
the rails so quickly on what we originally planned to discuss today, but like to get us back on track, what does this mean for the Mid-Penn Conference going forward, if anything?
Well, I just think I think it means PIAA classification will line up, right? The competition clause is being invoked, but it'll pretty well line up. And overall for the conference, I'm sorry to say this, you said it already. It means the Commonwealth division, or the Super Commonwealth, as you called it, they will actually steal even more of the spotlight than they did before. It's just going to be pretty much the Super Commonwealth and the other 3 divisions. And it'll be incumbent on those programs and those divisions to get the proper and garner the proper attention. They're gonna have to earn it because
It's
the
like
Commonwealth
boxing.
is set up to steal it.
It's like boxing. The heavyweights are always the ones that kind of steal the show just because they're the big bad guys on the block, and this
Yep.
just it reinforces this even more. Okay, last question here. Prior to the TV, again, I've been doing this for only 10 years, so I've only seen a minuscule amount of changes with what's going on in the central Pennsylvania area for decades of high school football and basketball and everything else. But prior to the TVL teams joining a few years ago, which it was a really good move by the Mid-Penn, in
That
my
was a
opinion, to
great
bring
move.
them in.
Yep.
Can you think of another Mid-Penn realignment that seems this seismic? To me, this seems seismic, but I don't know about you.
Yeah, they used to have their divisions divided by Mid-Penn 1, Mid-Penn 2 using Roman numeric letters. up to mid pen 3, 4, and 5, and it was sort of on a competition scale. Like
Mhm.
the mid pen 1 was the Alabama Hammer Slammers, right? The mid pen 2s were the second tier teams. And, that's the way they set it up. And there was a little bit of promotion demotion type between it. But when
Okay.
they scrapped that and went to some light realignment, it wasn't sort of like guided by a PIAA classification thing. That definitely rocked the boat. They changed and went to these mid-pen division names, Commonwealth, Keystone, Capital,
Mhm.
and it kind of included a little bit of realignment, but it just eliminated sort of the hierarchy and the power structure. And everybody was like, why are you being nice to the kids and get the crap beat out of them? Just put them in the mid pen 4. And, they just, that was sort of the argument against it. But now this was pretty much paint by numbers. That was not. So that really rocked the boat.
Sounds like what was it, Big Ten Legends division, and I'm blanking on what the other one was. They abandoned after like 3 seasons a couple years ago.
Yeah, they should have abandoned the 2 divisions in the Big Ten 3 years ago because they have a
Yeah,
varsity and JV now. That's it. There's no other way to
and
put it. For the
now
last
there's going
half
to be the West
decade,
Coast contingent.
yeah, they're going to go one division, but yeah, it was sort of that way. But no more tangents. All right, I'll get us back on message.
So we wanted to take some time to talk about this today, but we're going to get to the District 3 and PIAA playoffs here. We're going to start doing that by introducing our next guest here for the season. You guys will know him. He's been a big name throughout the season, quarterback here for Harrisburg. We'll have him on in just a sec. Our guest this week has led the Harrisburg Cougars back to the District 3 Class 6A championship. Quarterback Sean Lee Jr. is a 3-year starter for the number 2 seed and has put together his best season so far. 2,004 yards, 69.1% completion percentage, 23 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions. He's also run for 100 yards in 7 straight games and now has 1,285 and 17 touchdowns on the ground. Sean, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. How's it going?
It's good. Thanks for having me.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So, Sean, I'm going to get started here with a round of questions between Andy and I. This is your 3rd straight district championship appearance. You've been the quarterback for all 3 of those, including your freshman year. You've won the last 2. It's a rematch of last year's title game. It's a rematch of a regular season game earlier this year. What's the biggest lesson you learned, though, in those last 2 district championship games that you're going to be leaning on this week for you as you go through practices and get into the game?
Really, just when we face adversity throughout the games, is stay composed and just keep playing our game. Knowing a lot of times that we could hurt ourselves when we're down, and just stuff like that. Now we're playing a great team too.
Yeah, you guys are. So, Sean, I have a couple questions real quick. First of all, nearly 1,300 rushing yards. Did you guys change the offense and do that a little bit by design, or did that just kind of sort of come as the season moved along? Because was it by intention for you to run more and be more using your legs as part of the offense more, or did it just happen sort of the way it played out? I was curious about that.
I wasn't really expecting a rush for this many yards, and I get a lot of more carries as the season goes on. But that's just because our old line does what we need to do, and our receivers open it up for us a lot. So our running game's always efficient.
Yeah, and you're a dual threat. There's no other way to put it. You could probably play running back if you wanted to, but because you look like a running back when you're running the ball. But of all your numbers, I got a question to ask you about. Look, 3,000 total yards, 38 touchdowns combined, right? The game-winning touchdown against CDs. That was a heck of a game. Good win by you guys because you guys didn't play all that bad. They just played really, really
They
good.
played really well against us. Yep.
Yes, they did. I'm like, Harrisburg's not like dropping, like pissing this game away. CD East is like, hey, we're here tonight. But 3 interceptions, 69% completion percentage in 170 attempts. That's massive growth as a quarterback in your game. And I know you worked on it and you worked at it. What was some of the keys for you to become the more accurate and safe passer that you've become this season?
A lot of it's just confidence, being a composed passer in the pocket, taking my time. And a lot of film, I could read the defenses better and see what's really going on before the play starts.
Last question, then you can have it back to. Has the game slowed down a little bit this year more than any other time in your first 2 years? I know it's a course of time, but can you feel the game being a little bit slower?
Definitely. Like I said, a lot of film and a lot of hard work goes in that practice. And just me growing as a player, being a junior now instead of a freshman and sophomore, I
Right.
seen a lot more things, and it comes way slower to me.
You guys, this is 3 times in basically a calendar year now that you're going to face Manheim Township. So, like, what are you expecting in this game? Are you expecting them to do anything different this time around to kind of throw you a curveball here? Are you guys expecting to throw a curveball here at them? Like, what can we expect in round 3 of this matchup here?
Really, we just want to go out there and play football. Our coaches are taking a lot of time with us to really break down film and show we could do better that we didn't do in the last game. And we expect them to play hard, definitely, because they're a great team, like I said, well coached and a lot of skilled guys. So it should be a great game, and I'm ready for it. We all are.
So
He's
you
got
get. Oh, I'm sorry, Jake.
I was gonna say he's got the coach speak down already. I mean, he's got. I'm
Right.
sure you got college coaches calling you all the time now, or will be soon, man. Like this kid's already got the answers ready to go.
So Sean, you get another bite of the apple, right? Like the first one was weird, but forget that you went up there Friday, started, had to stop and go back Saturday. And they really came out and played well. You know that, they know that, everybody knows it. Everybody knows what happened the first time. It was not a good performance by you guys. They played up to their standards. So for your team, what is 1 or 2 things that you think are important in this second matchup for you guys this week?
Us waking up and coming down back down there that next game, we're not using that as an excuse. They
No,
outplayed us at the end of the day, but really just focusing on what we got to executing on offense, getting stops on defense, and just getting off the field and keeping points on the board.
I want to throw one random question at you here.
Okay.
We were talking earlier in the show, Andy and I, about the mid-pen realignment that's going to kick in next year. McDevitt and Cedar Cliff are going to join the Commonwealth, which is going to make that division even more insane than it already is.
Absolutely.
So I know your focus is right now on Manheim Township and hopefully a couple more weeks to go after that. But what do you think of this new look division with those 2 teams joining you guys, and how do you think it impacts you and the Cougars?
Really just puts another hit on our back. Us being dominant in the mid pen. I mean, it feels good knowing that another team's coming and they want our spot and that they want to beat us.
yeah, that would be McDevitt. So everybody knows that, right?
Yep.
Like they're going to force, what used to be, Market Street Madness. They're going to force those 2 teams to play. Football in Central Pennsylvania is always better when McDevitt and Harrisburg play each other.
Great rivalry.
End of subject. That's all you have to say. End of subject. All right, Sean, let's put you on the hot seat. Are you ready?
Sure.
Beach house or lake house? Which one?
Lake, more privacy.
Nice.
Whoa.
Give me one person, dead or alive. They can be dead or alive. That's your choice. Tell me one person that you want to have lunch with. Who is it?
I'd say Jay-Z. I like Jay-Z.
Nice. Nice. All right. A lot of teams pick you guys as an answer to this question. So you can't include the Cougars. Give me another team in the Mid-Penn Conference whose uniform combinations you like and catches your eye.
East. CD East. I like their jerseys.
Nice. All right. Last question, then we'll let you go. Sheets, with as much detail as you'd like to share and as many sides and whatever you get in your go-to order. What is your go-to order at Sheets, Sean?
I can walk you through the steps. As soon as you go to the door, straight back is the milkshake machine. I get that first. Then I go place my order. I get an apple sampler, the appetizer sampler. I get the jalapeno bites, the mac and cheese bites, and chicken tenders every time.
What's the
Nice.
milkshake you get?
Oh,
Say that again.
What's the milkshake you get?
Cotton candy.
I
Wow.
love it.
All right.
Yeah.
I love
All
it.
right.
It has
He
been
walked
the
us through
best
the door,
question.
Andy.
Yeah.
He walked us straight through the door first. He
Right
started
in,
at step
where
1.
you go first, you have to have a plan. When you go to Sheets, especially if it's crowded, you better have a plan because otherwise you're going to be there a while. So, all right, good luck to you and the Cougars this week. You guys have put together an impressive season. Again, won the Commonwealth Division Championship. That is always important and matters. 3,000 yards. Good luck in your recruiting. Stay healthy and good luck to you guys this week.
Thank you guys for having me.
Okay, thanks again to Sean Lee for joining us. Let's talk a little bit about these postseason games here, Andy. I know we didn't act like it earlier in the first A block of this section of this video, but we have some games this weekend. We play big ones. We're down to just 5 mid-pen teams left. 2 are fighting for a district title this weekend. McDevitt is going to win in 4A as long as they show up on time. Mr. Lee and his Cougars are facing Manheim Township, as we discussed about with him. what is the scouting report for you on this game between Harrisburg and Manheim Township?
Yeah, for me, it's what Cumberland Valley did last week and what Harrisburg failed to do in the first meeting with the Blue Streaks, which is punch back. Look, Manheim Township ahead and in their comfort zone, and them playing the game they want and playing out in front. They're really good at front running. They're going to beat you.
Mm-hmm.
They will not squander the game and give you an easy ticket back to the dance party. They're not going to let you back in. They won't do that. So you have to trade punches with them and make them a little bit uncomfortable. Not many teams have punched back this year, including the Cougars. First time around, Cougars never punched them back. So Cumberland Valley punched them back. They got within a score in the fourth quarter and had the ball. They just didn't have the horsepower, right, to make Manheim Township really sweat.
Yeah.
Harrisburg has that horsepower, but they got to first make sure they punch back.
Yeah. So beyond the Mid-Penn team, or beyond the District 3 teams left, Juniata, Camp Hill, and Steel High are in the state quarterfinals. They've already won their district brackets. Who impressed you most last week of those three in their first round state games?
I think it's Juniata. They had the biggest mountain to climb, right? Like same game, same team, third year in a row, I think it was. They won 21-7. That's impressive. It was a mental and physical hurdle for them to clear. Steel High just had to be patient and wait for Mother Nature not to wreck the game.
Yeah.
And once they did that, 0-0 at halftime might have been surprising, but if you saw the weather up there, you were like, you literally couldn't throw the ball 5 yards. So it was hard to hold on to it. So Camp Hill needed some magic late against a 1-win team. So for me, the most impressive one, it was Juniata.
Interesting. So I want to spend one last moment on that Lions team, though,
Sure.
if I may. Last year, their neighbors, Trinity, made a surprise state semifinal appearance. What do you think of the Lions' odds to match that feat? What do we make of their run this year, even?
Yeah, can they beat Dunmore? Absolutely. I think they can. They have the defense to match up with Dunmore. And Dunmore's not used to covering all over the field against a sort of wide open offense like the Lions. However, Dunmore does have some horsepower as well on offense, and they can bully you. So Camp Hill was the favorite last week. They were not the favorite in the District 3 2A championship game against Trinity. They were the favorite athlete. I kind of think they're kind of relishing this sort of like, we have 20-something dudes and we're the underdog role, which I think is kind of phony tough, but whatever floats your boat. I think football-wise, this game is 50-50, but for me, Dunmore will be saw as the clear favorite, as they should be. So can they match Trinity from a year ago and win this game? Maybe. I don't think it's a mountain that requires something extra special to accomplish. Now, you ask me, what do I make of this run? Well, they dealt with injuries during the regular season, right? They lost their quarterback for a little bit. They didn't play particularly well. They don't exactly have a deep roster of dudes, if you know what I mean. I think they dress 22 to 24 at max and maybe 14 or 15 play consistently. I think they got back late in the season and found a little bit of their mojo. And then they started the postseason by absolutely cracking Anvil Cleona. I mean, they just fired them up. And I think that lit the lamp. And their quarterback, Drew Brandstater, he's only grown in confidence in his ability to deliver in the clutch. And they already believed they had a good defense. Like going into the playoffs, I think they believed they could play with anybody defensively. It was, could they get enough offense and clutch offense to do it? And that's 2 games in a row, final drive, inside the final 2.5 minutes. Drew Brandstater took his team down the field and took them to victory. And I also think they feel as if they're playing with house money. So they can sort of play like they don't have anything to lose, right? And in some ways, watching them, you can 100% see that. They don't get tight or tense. They don't even wobble easily. They just show up to win, but losing won't change anything for them. They've already got 5 losses. So, there's that, part of it for analysis. And then I think their coach, Tim Bigelow, I like him a lot. He's very detailed and he makes sure the little things that matter don't get lost. And I think this team sees to those. That's my sort of take on Camp Hill in this run. They're sort of like, I'd say, if you had to compare them to a song, I'd say they're Tim McGraw, Live Like You Were Dying. They just don't care. That's them. They really
was-
play like it too.
That was not a reference I expected on this show this week. I did have the house money term in my head for a little bit with this team, but not Tim McGraw. So
Like you were
to
not-
pick a segue this week, we're gonna go with house money. I've been trying to make sure I do a good job of this whole writer thing here, but Camp Hill's playing with house money. We're playing with house money because we get to keep doing this for a couple more weeks through Thanksgiving, through December, because God, Pennsylvania plays state football in December in the cold. I don't understand it. But that's us. See us back on the blackjack table next week. For Andy Shea and the Fourth Down Magazine team, I'm Jake Adams. Be sure to head over to fourthdownmagazine.com as always for coverage for all of this week's action, previews, player of the week winners that are going to be announced here midweek, and what more to expect from the fourth week of the postseason now. So for Andy Shea and that team, see you later.
See ya.